Welcome, everyone. We're here. We're recording. We're live. We have headphones on.
Yes.
How are we doing, Daisy?
Good.
We're
Well,
doing good.
yeah, I just dropped a bomb on Raul about
Yes.
a personal thing in my life that I cannot talk about on the show, but
No,
I can definitely
not.
talk about my emotions and how they keep me away from doing what I need to do.
Isn't it crazy? I actually, man, that's a great topic because I actually came up this week for me and one of my friends, one of my close coworkers. That he had a conflict of like interest or conflict of life that involved him being like, in his own words, he described he's lazy, and it's affected a big part of his life. And he was talking to me about it, and I was like, "Bro, it's like my one crux, and it's my one thing, and it hurts, and it's starting to hurt people around me." And it's a strong, our emotions and our actions. We don't take account for sometimes like the repercussions of them, and it's a man. We are starting off this podcast so heavy.
I know.
So heavy.
I mean, it is a heavy subject, but I think it affects everyone. So I think it's important to talk about because, I mean, we all have emotions, right? That's why they made Inside Out. I love that movie.
I love him. We were talking about that. I was talking about a movie on another podcast. That movie has the saddest moment in any movie I've ever seen.
What part?
It's spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen Inside Out, so just like
which you should have by now, but that's
you should have. Please go watch it. It's a great movie. It's like the last great Disney like Pixar movie. Like it's so good. Bing Bong. You know what it is? Because it's a sacrifice of not like it's okay to like. It was such an nth level sacrifice because it's like he's not just sacrificing dying, he's sacrificing getting wiped from existence. No one will remember Bing Bong. In fact, like the main characters don't remember Bing Bong at the end. Like he's wiped from memory. He's wiped from existence. His action did save people, and it's a beautiful thing, but no one will remember that. And that's like they talk about a little in Coco. Coco has that part that they talk like "Remember me," and I never realized how important that is in my life. I don't know if that's egotistical. I don't know if it's selfish, but I want people to remember me. I want people to remember like my place in this world, you know, and that is such a scary concept. Like, hey, you're going to get not only vaporized, but no one's going to even like know, like not remember you or nothing. And that's such like that's such a hard, you as a person perishing like in that moment of great sacrifice, you're gonna feel okay because you're saving somebody, but like the fact that no one's even gonna remember that you did that is kind of egotistical a little bit.
Yeah. I think it is a little egotistical, but we all have egos, right? Like I think the issue here is being aware of it, because a lot of people are not aware of their ego, and it kind of dictates their life. So you run on your ego. And I've actually been studying all this about ego and emotions because I'm trying to get my emotions in check. I've had growing up, I was just a very emotional person. They called me La Llorona, actually. I was little.
Kidnapping kids inside the rivers?
No. Not like the movie, but I was just always crying.
Yeah. Oh.
And people would say that it was because I was spoiled, and because I'm the third child of three, the princess is what they call me.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's just I feel a lot, and I feel pretty deeply, and sometimes I get in the way of things. But I've started to realize that you can be in control of your emotions, of course, to a certain extent, like, because we're all going to feel something's going to happen. You're going to go through something tragic in life. And of course, you're going to cry or mourn it and go through grief. But it's in your control if whether you obsess over it or you don't. Is that your dog?
That is the dogs. Yes.
Yeah. That's all right. You can't control that one.
Can't control that one. That one is not. Oh, Jesus Christ, Luna. It's not because of me. I want to let this know.
No,
This
no, we
distraction
could
not
do
because of me.
the chapter.
No, we're fine. We're fine because there was a very important point we were talking about. Okay, Luna, God, Jesus, please. Okay, maybe we will cut.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Hey, everybody.
Is Luna under control?
Yeah, they're under control. Okay, so let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about emotions. We're talking about
Grief,
controlling grief and stuff like that. So yeah, getting our emotions in control is a tough issue. Let me ask you, actually, this is a good question. Do you feel like your emotions amplify your productivity or amplify your actual work?
yes, but I think the problem is creating the awareness that you can use that as an outlet, right?
Okay.
Because sometimes it's like you learn about something that is very tragic, like I was saying, and it sort of dictates your life because, like, let's say, all right, I'll talk about like my experience. So we haven't talked about this on the podcast yet, but I lost my parents in a car accident in 2017, and it was very tragic, and it kind of just hit me across the face. Like, I had no idea that this was going to happen. I was expecting for them to fly overseas and see them that day, right? And they were driving to the airport in Venezuela, and the car accident happened. And it's like you get your, like, it's like the world turns upside down, right? And your emotions take over. And it's like you can't see the light of day. Like, you're just so muddled in how your emotions are taking over your everyday aspect. Because it's not just that first moment that you hear about. Like, when I heard about the car accident, it's not just the first moment that you feel it. It's like, I'm still feeling it. You know, it's been, I think it's 2017. Is that like 6 years now? Yeah. And for a long time, it dictated how I went about in life because it hurt and I couldn't do anything about it because they were gone. Like, I can't talk to them. I can't, it's hard. But it also, you're in that emotion and it sort of like stunts you. You can't do anything and you're just like coasting through life, and it's sort of like depression. I mean, it's different, but it's sort of like it. Grief and depression are two different pathways, like, or pathways, or, experiences.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of similar things. And if you're depressed, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, when I started realizing that I have control over what I'm feeling, I started doing positive things with it, right? So now I'm creating like that awareness of, I don't necessarily have to let this emotion take control over me. I can do something about it and do something with it, which is why I got into art, right? Like, art for me was always an outlet, and I sort of like pushed it under the rug when I thought I couldn't make anything out of it, but it almost called me. Like, I was such in a bad position that then when I started drawing and I started letting it out in a creative way, I was like, wow, I feel so much better. And it's a healing process for me at this point, right? Like now, so recently I had like something happen to me and my emotions, I was able to discriminate it. Like, I'm not going to go down the path of feeling bad, feeling terrible. Of course, you're going to feel it, but it's like what you do with it. And so instead of obsessing over it and sitting in it and being like, okay, this emotion sucks, like I'm going to be like sorrowful and just be here all day doing nothing and lay on the couch and be sad about it.
Yeah.
I stopped that pattern and I said, you know what? I feel pretty bad right now, but I'm going to write. And I sat on my computer for an hour and I just let it all out. I started writing in poems because I just had got inspired by a recent poet that I read and I started writing. And then after the hour, I felt so much better, like a little more clear headed. It still hurt, but it didn't. I felt like I did something productive with it rather than let it swallow me whole, you
Yeah.
know? And afterwards, actually, I showed like my writing to my husband. He's like, wow, this is like some of the most amazing stuff that you've written.
Oh,
I felt it when I was
yeah.
reading it. And I was like, yeah, because I fucking feel
You
it.
felt it.
Yeah, I feel it.
It's it, going back to depression when you're talking about it. This it just reminds me of something that happens to me. So I will openly say I do battle with depression. I do.
Mm,
And I feel it. So every once in a while, I'll just feel it like subtly creep in, like coming into the background of my mind. Things are like not going my way. You know, I'm an older man with no person in my life and stuff like that. Like it creeps into my thought process, and this is when I know my depression is kind of getting like in the full kick. Is that I start like not caring about things I would care about. So like doing shows, preparing a flyer for upcoming event, things like that, like little things like that. And it will start just dominating, and I just start. I get very sedentary. I get very dismissive of anything, any like projects, any tasks in my life at all, and it drives me. It's really scary. I feel every once in a while kick in. It's one of the reasons why I think I'm so active and so busy is because I'm
mm,
like trying to like if I'm active and busy, I'm not gonna fall into that trap. I'm not
mm.
gonna fall in there.
Which I think a
Um,
lot of people do that,
yeah,
especially in our culture.
yeah. But it's I try to like bottle my emotions in the sense like this, not like bottle and then I pop and then I like get like angry Raul. I
Hmm.
used to be like I used to actually was notorious for like holding on, like not saying anything, and then like just letting things stack in my mind, and then I'm finally like really angry and unleashing it. And I shouldn't do that. No one should do that, because you think it's a hard lesson to learn for me. Was with my anger was you think that people realize the wrongs they're doing to you. That was my thing. I thought that people realized the wrongs they were doing to me, or like how they were making me upset, and they were just like letting it slide, and it will just form like a ledger in my mind. Like,
Hmm.
okay, you already did this one, you did this one, no, I did this one, and until I finally pop. But the thing is, and I truly believe this now, that people don't know when they're openly upsetting you, or when they're like, I don't think anyone openly is trying to openly upset anyone most of the time. So it's
Hmm.
something I had to learn, just from just experience, life experience. Going back to the depression stuff is it's tough. We were talking about the emotions, and so yeah, I try to bottle my emotions, and I try to use them in like a focused energy. So I used to do this a lot. Like it, I would find myself wanting to do like a task, wanting to be lazy. and you do expend energy when you're being lazy. Like it's like you're ignoring things and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, can instead of being lazy for this one moment, like just let's move and like do something. Like do something, a little task to complete. That's why I'm a big believer in the making your bed theory. Like if you make your bed, like you accomplish one goal in your life or one goal in your day. I really do believe that because when you stack wins, when you stack goals, you do feel it, and you do feel like a sense of accomplishment. So that's why I try to use my energy. I'm very afraid of bringing my personal emotions up on stage because I
Yeah.
feel like I can get too real, and I can turn off the audience.
Why would you say you would turn off the audience? Don't you feel like we need more real in this world?
I do, but
It's
it's a
scary.
battle. It's a battle because I feel so too real in this world. I do feel like lately that a lot of entertainment in general is real. I mean, look at like shows like Sopranos, Breaking Bad, shows like Euphoria, shows like just there's a lot of shows out there now that are very real world based, and they're kind of just
Raw.
raw, and it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't need that. I
Mm-hmm.
really you need a healthy balance of it. You do need content that's real and that maybe heavy or maybe just like gritty is another word. But when I try to go up on stage, I try to create escapism for the audience that's not dour, that's not sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. We just did that quote a few episodes ago from Robin Williams, where he talks about that comedians kind of look for laughs. And we look to make people laugh because we know it's like to live in a world without laughter. Because
Yeah, but you know what? Like, if I can counter that,
yeah, go.
because I grew up in, although I lost my parents and that was a very tragic thing for me, I grew up in a very nice environment with sort of like not the best conditions, but I never realized it because there was a lot of laughter in the house. We always made a joke out of something, and not in the bad sense, but sort of like once you see the reality of things, you can make light of it, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know that escapism is the way. Like, you don't need to be raw, but you can be real. You can say things like, I'm not about to come up with a joke, but like,
no,
it's sort of like I make light of my experience. So I'm very comfortable with death, so sometimes my jokes can get a little dark, and that has to do with my nursing and all the deaths I've seen in my life. But to be real with you, like, death is inevitable. We're all going to go through it. So why are we going to shy away from it? Let's just make light of it. Like, we're all going to be underground. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, well, I know we're scared of it, but once you realize those things are a reality, then you can start to be like making fun of those things.
yeah.
And it's sort of like, sometimes I'll make jokes and they're like, do I laugh at that? It is kind of funny, but.
So can I tell you an experience I had a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago? This is before I actually began my comedy career. I was telling a story. It's a story from when I was working at the hospital of an event that happened to me
Mm-hmm.
that I thought was hilarious because I in my mind it is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole sequence. When I told that story at like a Friendsgiving, and the shock on people's
Well, you need
faces.
to know your audience,
Yeah,
Raul.
no, of course. Like I think I've told this story to you guys, like our friend
Mm-hmm.
group, which is all mostly healthcare professionals. Um, so when I tell it to you guys, it's hilarious. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's, people talk about like, oh, have edgy, dark comedy. No, you don't. You know who has edgy dark comedy? The nurses and
Yes.
doctors at hospitals. Okay,
Yeah,
that is
dude.
edgy and
That's
dark. You don't even
yeah.
play. That playground is exclusive to doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
As a person who I've heard every iteration of dark, it does not
It
get
does not
darker.
compare.
It does not compare.
It's
Like the
like,
dark, it's
yeah.
98% cacao. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think it's because it's a coping mechanism. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and I think it's a good one. I mean, but
Yeah. Go ahead.
but also like when you have do you need to address something?
No, no, no. We're good. We're good.
Okay. When you have that reality setting in and everybody is on the same page with you, they're going to laugh with you. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So it's all, I think one is knowing your audience. Like, who am I talking to? Because if I'm going to be talking to people that are afraid of death, I'm not going to be
Yes.
making those jokes because I know it's going to make people feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
But there's experiences that we all go through, all of us collectively as humans. We all experience loss in some way or another, heartbreak, right? Like, I don't know, you can go on. Like, we experience love and all this stuff. So we all try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And I think when you grasp those concepts and realize things for yourself, then you can and twist it in a way that it's funny.
Yeah.
I think you'll connect with the audience more than escaping, you know. I I don't know. It's sort of the audience that you're pulling into because you can be very on the surface with things and of course people can appreciate that, but if you think about history and what sticks, it's what connects with a person, right? Because you can like let's say like Calvin and Hobbes, dude. Have you read
Yeah.
Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes. Yes.
I
Okay.
mean, I think it's a beautiful story and they're making light of things that are very serious. Like they
Yeah.
talk about death in there, you know, they talk about just like little like very philosophical questions, but they make light of it because it's a kid that like seems to be so profound, but he's like just in his own imagination. It's really cute. If you guys haven't read Calvin and Hobbes, you have to read it.
Isn't it funny that there's like so many iterations of that? Like a kid who goes through like life experiences with like an imaginary friend.
Mhm.
Like I mean the classic one is Christopher Robin and Pooh Bear, of course.
Mhm.
Then you have oh my god, I was just thinking of it right now. There's just some like, many iterations of it. Oh, where the wild things are. Where
Mhm.
the wild things are is another iteration of that. Even though I didn't like the movie too much, I never did like. I think it was a little too. You see, this is the thing. Like, maybe I have a problem. I hate. You know what it is? I hate putting people in uncomfortable situations. I really do, and I don't because I don't like uncomfortable situations. Man, oof, we got oof. We're getting.
Yeah, dude. You know, I I've read a lot of self-help books because of what I've been through and a lot
Yeah,
I don't like to speak about like my spirituality too much because I don't like to shove it down people's throats, but
yeah,
I do practice meditation a lot through my Buddhism. And I've started to learn that a lot of the things that I'm afraid of is what I'm afraid to speak about. And when I'm come to terms with what I'm afraid of and face it head on, then I'm much better for it and I can grow better, right? And
yeah,
my work grows. Everything around me starts evolving because I'm evolving. And so I stopped caring about what other people think because I know in myself that I'm happy with where I'm at. I know that I'm being as righteous as I can be and I'm true to my values. And that keeps me on this ground where I feel almost unstoppable, right?
yeah,
Because I now am aware of where I'm at in my situation. And I think when you confront like the depression, when you start facing that head on and trying to see like what is it that's getting me here, and you start to understand yourself in such a like deep level, that is what connects with people, because you start to understand something about yourself that other people are afraid to get to, and then you start to understand like, okay, I got into this, I understand it, and I can still make light of it, and now I got some jokes, you know. I'm trying to stop cursing. I want this to be family friendly.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. So oh man. So we just did SuperCon. We just my company just did Super, which was
Yeah,
amazing. It was
nice.
fantastic. Thank you. We just did it, and two comedians. We had a clean show in the beginning, and two comedians wanted to go up. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to do clean and work it. One comedian got a minute 30 in before he said shit, and then
Yeah.
and then another comedian got 4 minutes. I was so proud of him. 4 minutes, and
So
then
proud.
he dropped an F bomb like right at the end. I was like,
Yeah.
bro, it's
Well,
hard.
technically that's PG-13 then, right? Because you only use like one
One F.
one F bomb. I think that's how it works.
Yes, it is kind of
Yeah.
how it works, but it is hard to work clean.
Yeah,
Very
we're
hard.
working on that too. At least I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But it is maybe because I'm uncomfortable with these topics for myself. You know, um, like I remember I have a friend, a very good friend, who they are a psychology major, and she's getting her doctorate in psychology and stuff like that. And one time she did like a trial therapy session with me. It was like for an internship or something. She had to write down like that she did it. And man, she broke me open like within 2 minutes. Like
yeah,
it was
it's
bad.
hard.
It's
Hmm.
hard. Like I remember one of the things we talked about was that I allow people like my friends to take advantage of me or like to like abuse me because I hope that they will allow me the same, not service. I'm not saying that I want to abuse people. No, I'm just saying like I do it because, and I know that they're not going to return the favor a lot of times, but I do it because there's going to be that one day that I'm going to need a favor, maybe. And maybe that's bad because that's like kind of Indian giving. Oh my God, Jesus. Talking about not cursing and being, it's kind of like that I'm looking for payback, I guess,
Hmm.
in some aspect. But I'm also not. I'm just looking for friendship sometimes, and I always worry I give too much of myself. It's an issue I've had. You know,
Hmm.
in my not only my friendships but my relationships.
So,
Um,
let me ask you, like, when she
yeah,
broke you open, did you feel? I know there's always like a hangover phase, but
yeah.
did you feel better after? Or
I
did you
felt
feel just raw and open and you probably needed another session?
I felt better in the sense
Mm,
that like I that made me aware of something. So like me knowing that like I allow people to do that, knowing that there's not going to be like any eh, value, not value. Jesus, I hate putting like that type of system on it. I'm like trying to say like knowing that they're going to hurt me, knowing that they're
mm,
going to hurt me, and that I allow people to do that. That was something very. I never like put it. I never materialized it. I never made it like substantive,
mm,
and that was something very big for me. Um, how much I worship my dad, for example. That's another one that like
mm.
I never considered. Um, eh, it's it. I did feel better. I felt like it uncorked things. I don't know if I needed more sessions. I tried. I know it's not a good way of going about life. I try to like work on things on my own and work through things on my own, and then now I have like these revelations like I did now, where it's like I forgot what the revelation was right now, but it was that that I don't like putting people in uncomfortable situations because I don't like being in uncomfortable situations
Mm-hmm.
because which a lot of my life I live by the golden rule. I live by like you want to be treated as you want to treat people as you want to be treated. I live by that rule. Um, should I always live by a rule? I don't know because sometimes I need to be beyond my means. I need to be, you know, expect more people. I don't know. Um,
Yeah. Can I intervene?
yeah,
I think there has to be a distinction. I think if you love yourself first, you're able
yeah,
to have a full cup to be able to give even bigger, right? Like
yeah,
I know that as sad people, we want to give back, and but as much as that fuels you, at the same time, it's not enough because you have to be able to give that to yourself. And I think first, your priority is you because it's sort of like that airplane thing. Like, when they tell you if we're going down, put the oxygen on yourself first before you help
yeah,
anyone else. And I like that analogy and transferring it to life because you have to take care of yourself first before you can start giving to other people because then you are not going to feel like you need to be getting things back, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm doing this because I love, because I want to give to you, and I'm in a place where I can do that because I've worked on myself. And
yeah,
that's sort of what I want for everyone. Because once you start to realize, even though that, because I've been through a bunch of therapy for what I've been through, and I started to realize once I started to dig in deep, and as hard as it was to uncover everything and let it all out and feel like I had a really bad hangover after, I come back to the other session because I know that I'm going to feel a lot better and I'm working on myself. And when I start becoming aware of where I'm at in the world and how I feel, I stop projecting those feelings because now I'm in control of them because I'm aware, right? Like now I know why I scream at certain people, like because it's a triggering thing for me,
yeah,
and I can stop it. And it's like, oh, it's because of this that I do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. It's not that big of a deal, you know. Um, it's hard work, but it's definitely something worth investing your time in.
yeah,
Um, makes your jokes better. And it's like I know what you mean by being raw and out there because I have written stuff that I'm like, I'm never going to be able to show this to anyone. But when you are coming from a spot where you feel more genuine and more authentic to yourself, your work is going to speak that, and it's in your hands to say I'm going to share this and I'm not going to share this. But when you're in your room and you're brainstorming and going through all the motions and all your jokes, just be free with it and see where it takes you, and you might get something you might get something that resonates and that you feel comfortable sharing, and it's going to be great.
yeah. It's just it's interesting, you know. I always get worried about showing my true self sometimes. Not like
Mhm.
there's like I'm a hidden self. I'm pretty much who I am, but sometimes I worry like I'm gonna go up on stage and just sound like an angry guy, and I don't
Mhm.
want that. Or
Mhm.
I'm gonna sound like I'm talking too much about my own crap. Not, I mean, it's not crap. It's my life. It's my
Mhm.
experiences, but that's how I perceive it.
Yeah, but
Um,
the things that connect the most, like I said, is when you can be real with yourself, people are going to be able to see that and they're going to connect with that. Because if you're feeling it, most likely somebody else in that audience is feeling it too, you
yeah,
know? Um, and they're going to be happy. It's like, oh, yeah, that is true. Oh, that's funny, you know?
so
But yeah. Should we wrap this up?
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
You have any
You're getting
words?
a little raw over there, right?
No, it's just like, things I think about.
Yeah.
Things I think about. It's funny. This is like the third podcast I've done this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually did a podcast on the Sun, and there was a topic that came up on the Sunday podcast I did that like kind of revolves here, and it's weird. It's interesting, like how like threads of thought, even though this is a totally different podcast, totally different aspect, how they transfer over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting.
It's almost like a sign, right?
It's almost like a sign. It's almost like a sign.
It's almost. I don't know.
Let's see. Where can the nice people find you, Daisy?
So I am at Daisy Vesiana, and you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Where can the nice people find you, Raul?
They can find me, even though I might change it soon, at RDHITO87 on all social media.
Awesome. Thanks for this raw and open conversation today, Raul. I know today was a heavy topic, but I appreciate you coming with your vulnerability.
Thank you.
And I hope people can learn from it. If you guys are feeling that we are helping you or not helping you, please let us know.
Yes. We need to we want to engage with you guys more. So please, like, reach out to us. We have our social media. We're gonna have our Facebook soon.
Yes.
You can also reach out to us on YouTube. YouTube is actually really interesting. It works in so many ways. And you can also just email us at, I believe it's Failing with Daisy and Raul.
Yeah, tell us what resonates, what doesn't, and we'll get back to you. Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.